their hill rider. Maybe they just summit that climb. Obviously, they don't take KOM points, but going into descent, maybe they just ride in the breakaway for the extra 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't think it'll be in the forefront of people's minds when they're approaching these two
Let me
huge
just take
climbs.
a remark from one of our contenders. Hush said in the our Twitch chat
Yep,
that I was afraid to follow Gabi and end up dead. I think I
yep,
had enough strength to follow him.
yep.
So Hush really is saying that he committed tactical mistake in the last climb, and I think sometimes that's the biggest mistake Hush does normally. That is even too much conservative. Sometimes people call him rat and other stuff because he's really conservative, and he always think he cannot react to any attack, to any kind of breakaway. He just wait, and this clearly damages options in this stage.
I think calling him a rat is a little bit unfair. I think, as we see, 40 wind here on today's stage. 40
Yes,
wind.
40
Wow.
wins.
I've never seen anything like it in my life. But yeah, 40 wind. Crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, back to Rush. I think it's a little bit unfair calling him a rat. However, he was there in the final. I think, again, I kind
Mm-hmm.
of got the feeling that he would be a little bit, cautious in those final four corners, with it being so steep. I think it's hard for people to know how much effort they can go and how much time, they can go at that effort without dying. Like he said, he was a little bit afraid of dying on the final climb. I think again, it's just about timing. The timing is everything in these tight scenarios. Gabby proved to have the best timing by going off a little bit earlier, and
Mm-hmm.
he got the win because of that. That is something what PCM does do. It does promote good timing of your sprints. It's
Let
not always realistic to real life. However, most of the time, if you time your sprint correctly, likely you're gonna get a top three on the stage. So I think
Let
it was.
me do some remarks about the wind. We rarely talk about the wind on PCM besides time trials, but it's really influenced the bars and the energy of the cyclists. And in this moment, we have a very interesting thing that the wind is pushing against the cyclists during the first at least 40 kilometers of this stage. So it's very interesting to see who is going to try to move against the wind, and I think this probably will change some strategies regarding this stage.
Yeah, I think many of the riders, I keep calling them riders, many of the players who are controlling their riders are going to be very, very reluctant to go in a breakaway against the headwind. I think the gap they're going to get from it is going to be very, very little compared to potentially the amount of energy they're going to have to spend just to get that small gap. As we saw in the last stage, the breakaway that got a minute and a half, Gabby was easily controlling that gap. Now imagine that with 40 headwind, it'd be even easier for someone like Gabby to control that gap with Navadolska. So I
Hmm.
think it'll put off many, many players from going into the breakaway.
Sometimes we think the wind can make the stages more interesting, and it does, but in this moment, the stage is getting really, really
Yeah,
steady, and we don't have a lot of pace, to be honest. We are, because no one wants to move against the wind. And I think that's probably what we are going to see for the next 30 kilometers. So we try just for a bit to see their current positions, what they did till now, and in this season of PCM. I have to say that Davi won the International Pro League, a small competition that happened in January. Is his best result this season. He has a lot of wins also in Bidon d'Or, where he didn't won the general classification, but he really won a lot of stages there. He won
Mhm.
in the Italian national championships. He won the individual time trial, for example. In He won the PCM, the Liga PCM, so the one of the biggest events of the year, or at least the
Yep.
first season of it. So it's I'm trying to see what does Davi won, and he won 16 road official stages this season. I think he leads in wins after. No, I think he actually wins it. He leads it. He has more than you, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, you have only
Yep.
9, so he
Yep.
has 11. When he has 14 wins, so he's right now the number 2 in the world rankings behind Flynn, but he's one of the players with more competitions played and more competitions wins. So you played a lot against Davi. What do you have to say about his style of playing?
I think his style of play varies quite a lot depending on obviously the database that we're using. Obviously, if it's going to be a ladder DB like today's with attacks from Davi and Dennis, trying to get in that breaker, very risky. As you can see now, Mike Turnerson, very, very hard effort to close that gap in the 46 headwind we've got now. Very,
Mm-hmm.
very strong wins. But back to your point, yeah, I think when we're looking at obviously races like Liga and Speed on Door, it's not a ladder DB. There's forms and the stats aren't even between the teams. I think that can open up the playstyle a little bit. You know, you can see less skillful players challenging the better skilled players because of the handicap of potentially having a better team or having better
Mm-hmm.
forms. I think it widens the the list of potential winners. Um, as we see in league, obviously, you've got many talented players, all with different stats of their riders in their teams. Who knows what forms they're going to have when they load up into the stage? You know, everything's in the balance. Obviously, skill still prevails over the RNG, or, as many people will know it as random and generated of the forms and the stats. That is what
Mm-hmm.
RNG stands for. So yeah, I think everyone likes to play a little bit more cautious when it's a ladder DB because it's purely about how much energy you can save, especially on a stage like this. I think for the
Clearly, you
main,
are doing the part of the expert here.
yeah,
But
we've changed roles
I
from
like
last
how we
year.
changed our papers
Yeah,
with the years. But yeah, I have to say something. I need to correct an information. I thought Davi was the one with more wins. No, it's actually Dennis. Dennis has 20 wins on the road already. Even if he didn't won so many important tournaments, he has the more individual stage wins in the PCM community. He
yeah.
is only number 22 of the ranking, just ahead of Ghosty, that is number 23. And we have absolutely no more player in the top 20 that is playing this final. What do you think? Why do you think Gabi, for example, is only 48 on general classification?
I think the reasons are his. He just doesn't play that much
Hmm.
PCM compared to others. I think for me personally, it's not about the PCM ranking. It's just about how I enjoy a lot playing this game. So it makes sense for me to play more tournaments, I guess. For Gabby, I'm sure I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but either he might not enjoy the game as much, he doesn't have time to play the game, he doesn't feel the need to play the game as much. I'm not sure. It could be anything. But I think the general basis is that he just doesn't play as much as some of the other players. The PCM
Hmm.
rankings can be a little bit of a false indicator of who's
Hmm.
actually the best player, but at the end of the day, it's just about having fun in the game. I'm not sure really anybody takes it to heart too much. Nobody takes it too personally if they're not high up on the rankings, or if they're high up on the ranks, I don't think they get ahead of themselves. Um, the Champions League, well, the national championships, the Champions League, and the World Cup are
Hmm.
the best indicators. I guess, for the who are the best players. But even then, as we've seen many times over the years in the World Cup, I'm sure you can probably tell the viewers a little bit more about that since I've only started playing World Cup since last year. But from my perspective in the World Cup in 2020 on PCM 19, we saw many of the top players going out in the early rounds. That's not just because obviously they're bad. It's not because they're having a bad day. Just sometimes the game doesn't suit those who have to take on the responsibility of working. If if you're the main favourite and you're in a group with 7 other people who aren't well known amongst the community, likely they're just going to sit on you and wheel suck for the majority of the day. We saw that happening a lot in the World Championships,
Hmm.
and yeah, but I still think the
Yeah,
World Championships is the best
I saw
indicator
your
for who is better.
point. I was just going to say that also interesting. The big dog won a stage in the last day we played this. So the with the stage that finished in Cortina d'Ampezzo, and it was his second win in all of the season, and he played a lot. Certainly, not as much as others, but he played a lot. So he's not a player that is usually known by winning races. Why do you think he's on this final?
Um, Again, I think in the pre-race run-up, I guess you could call it, to this event, the Scalatore in Piece of Italia was the Zemenian. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure if that's how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if that's mispronounced. He came seventh in there, and that's quite a good result looking at some of the players. I think he knocked out Solipai in the first round. Solipai, amazing player. We've seen
Mm-hmm.
over the years. He's a very, very competent player, very
Mm-hmm.
skillful. He knocked out Solipai, and I know obviously it's a pro cyclist event. It's not going to show who's the best player, but
Mm-hmm.
what it does show is who can time their sprints well, I guess, because it's a 1 versus 1. Whoever's going to win needs to time their sprint the best.
Oh, as
And I
he
think
also won.
I
Yes, yes,
think
yes.
some of the stages early on in the rounds, most of them did finish in a sprint. I think everyone's yellow bars were fairly equal, and it was just who has the better sprinting ability. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the big dog proved himself to many people by beating Solipai and doing good in other races as well. I think
Mm-hmm.
his timing of his sprints is very good. It's improved a lot over the course
And
of the
we
season.
see Kovili
So
passing
really going
first.
to be up.
Let me just interrupt you to see that the big dog has cut down a difference of more than 1 minute and a half just to assure that his rider Kovili was the first to pass in the first mountain climb of the day and get that 6 points. He is clearly pushing a lot for that mountain classification, and I think after today we can more or less say that he clinched it. It's
Yep.
not. It will not be mathematical, but probably I would say after today we will say that he more or less clinched this classification. Sorry for interrupting you, but
No, no, that's fine.
it was something happening live, and I really
Yeah, no,
wanted
that's fine.
to
That's
comment what's
fine. Yeah.
happening. And 2 minutes behind right now is the group
I think
pushed right
it's
now by Ghosty, and I want to just to notice that Carapaz, the 80 mountain guy, is on the front by David. So I really wanted to notice that. Don't
yep.
know if it's the best idea with 30 now wines. It's a bit less, but he is there and he's going to for the move. So yeah.
Interesting to note as well, as we talked about last stage, Dennis picking up a lot of KOM points as Sean has just dropped from the breakaway, I think momentarily. Although he's going to get back on.
Hmm.
Dennis actually picked up second and third place on that climb, so he picks up another 6 points if the in-game classification is correct. I think he's picked up another 6 points,
Hmm.
which actually equals Kovili's 6 points of coming first. But back to the
Hmm.
point about Sean, I think many players have improved a lot, but I think certainly the big dog or Shawn Michaels,
Hmm.
has improved his timing and ability in mountain sprints. And at
Yeah.
the end of
No.
at the end of the day, all of these climbs are gonna likely end up in a mountain sprint. We saw last stage, even when Gabby um, obviously made that move early on and took the stage win, we still saw a sprint for second, third, and fourth place. So the sprint
We,
does
I
purchase, and
really,
Kobe stealing more points here for the
yeah,
KOM.
Kovil is stealing more points, and I think Sani probably. I don't know if Sani got second place also. Let me take a look. No,
I
uh,
think
he
it's
got
very,
third.
very
Yeah, Davi
Davi,
got the other points.
yeah,
I was going to say that I had. I accompany. I saw all the career of the big dog since he started to play PCM online till now in the last 2 years, and I have to say that he is for sure one of the players that improved more in the last 2 years. I would never put the big dog at the top level spot right now. In
no,
the
no,
like
I think that's
when
fair
you talk
too.
about players that okay, who do you think will win the next World Championships in line? You would never put the big dog there as one of your top bets. I'm sure of that. But anyways,
I don't think you'd pick many riders though for that, so I don't think it's something against
yeah, no,
Sean's
sure, and
ability. I think it's just that.
I think Sean, if you do a list of the players that started to play only from 2 years ago till now, probably the big dog will be in a very good spot because
Yep.
he has improved a lot, and I have to say his game is better each day, and he has a very good capacity of learning from others, and that point I have nothing to say against it. And Dennis is complaining about only second attack or relay. I think they are complaining a bit about the big dog not working. He's just trying to get the mountain points
Yeah.
as Davi and Dennis relay to each other, and the big dog is not helping. And I see the point of what they are criticizing, but the big dog clearly has no interest on this breakaway. He just wants the mountain points. It's clearly the strategy.
But also you need to notice that Dennis and Davi both have their 75 mountain and 80 mountain in this breakaway, so
Hmm.
I don't think Sean wants to really too much. However, with the gap only being a minute, I think it's fair to say that he should probably be relaying at least a little bit, giving a little bit of contribution.
Hmm.
But yeah, most of these mount when it's a ladder DB and when the skill gap between the players is very small, I think it will come down to a sprint, and inevitably, if you're good at sprinting, you're going to win the stage.
Hmm.
And I think that's probably why the big dog got through, if I'm being
Yeah.
perfectly honest. And also, he was very attacking, going for the KO points. So
Yeah. I
that
have
also scored him
to
more
say
points.
that if in the last stage we saw a lot of work by Gabi in the peloton, this stage Ghosty is paying almost all the effort in the front of the group, trying to maintain the difference in reliable, let's say reliable distance
Yep.
to the breakaway. And this Ghosty is basically walking all stage long. Is very and Hush and Gabi are maintaining themselves more in the back for now. As we approach, we are only 4 kilometers to get into Paso della Mauria. We are probably going to see the big dog trying to get some more points, and he probably is going to get them because we see that Davi and Dennis are really not fighting that much for mountain classification. So yeah,
I
uh,
do fear for Davi and Dennis using their two best domestiques after, obviously, their 83 mountain. 80 mountain and 75 mountain both in the breakaway, both taking up a lot of energy in the wind,
and
likely.
Moscon just felt from the group,
Yep,
and
as we see, we're trying to
yeah.
get more KO points here.
Yeah,
Davi's
but
trying to
probably Tonnison is going to get to the top, what is actually very good. And Dav
very
is actually
possibly.
fighting the
Yep,
mountain points, and he probably will take some.
yep, he's
And
going to take second here.
yeah, the
And
big
he
dog
does.
only gets 2 points here, but it's perfectly fine for him. He probably has a very good advantage, so it's fine. Dennis stopped a bit just for waiting for his third guy, and I think it's very, very, very recommendable to have the third guy in these next few kilometers that are not flat, are always downhill and uphill. So yeah, he has probably taken the best decision here to wait for the third guy.
I think Gavi's undoubtedly played this the best here. He's got all six riders he can just afford to use Navidorskas, use Grossu on this approach to the Monte Costas, and close down this now extended 3 minute gap. It's obviously Dennis and Davi's 80 mountain and 75 mountain riders. Let's not forget there's Kovili and Seni here also for the big dog.
Now
Um,
we have Tennyson working really, really hard
yep.
to as we can. We are completely seeing. But the point is, when Tennyson is over, will they be so generous in the effort with Kwiatkowski and George Bennett, or will they more or less try to not spend a lot because the group is coming? We don't know.
I think with the 79 descent of the puncher rider, I think they can. There's a little bit of a descent, not after this climb, but after the small little climb afterwards.
Hmm.
There's a little 5-10 kilometer down. They could probably pace, you know, a little bit of effort, give Turnison a rest, and then Turnison can just fully go for it into the bottom of that uncategorized climb. But with the break being 2.5 minutes, unless there's cooperation behind between the three guys, Gabby, Hush, and Ghosty, this break could survive, a decent
Can you
portion of
pause?
this
I
first
I
climb.
crash, please. Can
Okay.
you pause?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Uh, Yeah, pause the game. Let's please pause the game, Dennis, if you can. Dennis. Yeah, thank you. Gabi crashed. This is a very typical stuff in PCM.
Yeah.
We have.
Thank you.
Uh, it's not
No
a
problem.
problem. Gabi is coming back to the game as we wait a bit and we saw the positions of the riders. So, with 90 kilometers still to go, we have 2 minutes and 20 in the front. I think Ghosty is really doing the most effort on the back. Do you think it's a smart idea by Ghosty to do the effort to Hush and Gabi just to stay there, or what do you think?
I think he has to work, even though he's going to be using up more riders because he's only got 5 riders left to commit that fifth rider, so he's going to have 4. Hush and Gabby are committing their 6th rider, so they're going to have 5 left.
Mm-hmm.
But if he doesn't work, he's giving up pretty much 2 spots to Dennis and Davy because they're going to have a huge advantage with their 80 mountain and 75 mountain guys up front. So this gap has to come down before that intermediate sprint, pretty much. If it's within 1 minute going onto the foot of the Monte Costas climb, I think that's manageable. I think they'd like to close it fully before that climb. But as long as there's cooperation between the 3 riders behind, I think they should bring it back.
I'm absolutely sure, right? And we will see what happens as soon as Gabi comes back to the game. Yeah, the problem. And the Modolo is just dropping from the group, I think. Yeah.
I
So
think, yeah, he'll get back on though. I think it was just because of the not the lag, but when you pause the game, sometimes the riders kind of are all over the place. So
may,
I guess
maybe
yeah,
right.
he'll get back on.
Yeah.
He should get back on.
But Modolo also worked a bit, so we will see how Ghosty will manage with
Yeah,
probably only 4 guys getting
yeah,
to
indeed.
the next
Because
line.
that's what I was talking about. He's got 5 riders left, and he's gonna have to commit that 5th rider, which is gonna leave him with 4 guys. Gabby and Hush, they're committing their 6th guy, so it's gonna leave them with 5 riders left. Uh,
Probably they will have 5 riders left.
I
Yes.
think Oliveira for Hush, Navadorskas for Gabby will probably pace up until that 4.5 kilometer uncategorized climb just before the intermediate sprint, and then their 69 mountain guy will probably do the pace after that. Maybe their climbers do the descent because their climbers got very good descending stats.
A, s-
Um, and then
a
on
small
that little bit of flat section where the intermediate sprinters, I think they'll pace with their 69 mountain guys to the foot of the climb.
a small question.
Yep,
You have already for sure played this stage, as I have to.
yep.
What do you think about the flat part after Monte Crostis climb? So, like without downhill. Do you think you need to save bars and not be completely dead on the top, or what would be your strategy to get there?
I think how you should look at it. The only way you're going to get dropped on that section is if you're not going to have enough energy. Now, there's only two real enough all the other guys. One, you've been dropped earlier on in the stage, which I don't think anyone has been, and obviously you've lost energy. Two, the other guys have taken up the pace incredibly hard to manage to drop you. Now, when you're in that process of taking up the pace, you're also using more energy.
Let
So,
let let me just ask something. Gabi, are you in the game? Yeah, okay, he's in. Sorry,
yeah.
it was just for restarting the game. So,
So there's obviously we've explained the first reason, but the second reason, let's say Gabby
hmm
really pushes on that front of the climb. It causes drop. The
hmm
thing is, yes, Hush will drop, but Gabby's gonna have to spend a lot of energy to make that difference anyway. So Hush, I don't think will actually get dropped on that flat section because the difference between the two riders' energy, I don't.
hmm Yeah, yeah, no, I completely see your point. As we are approaching this small climb that doesn't count as a mountain, but we can see that is actually very hard to pass, even if it's short. And then we
Yep.
have the intermediate sprint, or another 5 points. Who do you think will take the intermediate sprint? Do you think Tellison will, or who?
Um, I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. I think any three of these guys out front could take that intermediate sprint. I think if Sean takes it, he'll be a very up person to
hmm
Dennis and Davi because they've done understandably the majority of the work by having the better riders. They should be doing the majority of the
hmm
work.
But the point is that Dennis still has Townsend in the group. Do you think Townsend will pass this small climb to get the points, or do you think he is not going to do it?
Um,
Because he has the 77 sprint. That's the.
Depending on how much energy Turnison has, it'll be smart for Davi to wait for Turnison over the top of the climb because Turnison can recover a lot in that distance and then put on the pace, take the intermediate sprint, but also extend that gap into the foot of the climb. And the way that things are looking now, with Turnison not working on the front instead George Bennett is, I think that's what Dennis's plan is going to be. He's going to want to save Turnison for that intermediate sprint.
I completely
And I
see.
think it's deserved because he's done the majority of the work with having three riders. So,
Mm-hmm. Naturally. Davi.
I think the responsibility will be on Dennis to do the pace up until the start of that climb as well, if he has three riders.
As we approach this small climb, 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yep,
It's actually a very interesting difference, right?
yep, it is. I think
Um,
if they keep those 2 minutes at the foot of the climb, I don't think the energy that Dennis and Davi have used getting into the breakaway will
mhm.
actually be that bad. If the gap, however, comes down to 30 seconds to a minute, I think the energy you could almost say wasted by the guys up front will actually make
Okay. Okay, so we are seeing the most important part probably of the stage to see if they was wasted too much or not, and we see the big dog actually leading the group
Yep,
as Tellison drops to third of the train and
yep.
tries to maintain himself there. So this climb we are more or less at half of the climb. Tellison maybe gets in there,
I
maybe.
think I
David
think for,
drops.
I think
David
for the
drops.
no, I think Davi's just taking his own pace here. I think it's smart for the big dog to just wait for the other guys. If he's wanting that intermediate sprint, it's still 10k to go, so I don't think he should be pacing too hard.
We need
I
to
think
say that
that
they opened 3 minutes and 30 already for
yep,
the group.
and Tennyson survived, which is very good for the rest of the group out front. Yes, he's going to take that intermediate sprint, but the effort Tennyson can do, as we see him recovering in the descent now,
hmm
I think the effort that he can do into the foot of the climb is going to be massive. As we see 4 minutes, 4 minutes.
Navarnauskas just got off the group as 4 minutes and 10 seconds.
This
Four
is
minutes.
very good for the guys out front, mainly Dennis and Davi. Not necessarily Big Dog because he only has the 75, but definitely for Dennis and Davi, it's very, very positive.
I completely agree with you. I think the big dog can take some advantage just because I think Dennis and Davi will try to not to go up the Mont Crosses and cross the line with two riders and not only one. What actually gives the big dog the possibility of following them and taking some mountain points. That's possible, but it clearly
See,
benefits
John
Davi
going
and
for the
Dennis.
intermediate sprint. I'm not sure if this is smart, but he's going for it anyway.
He's going for it and he takes it. Dennis completely forgets about it, and the big dog easily takes the intermediate sprint as we approach Mount Crosses and 4 kilometers to go. Will the big dog wait now for
Hmm, I think he has to do. I think it's a suicide attempt to now try go solo.
GG Rat says Dennis to the big dog because it didn't work. We noticed that the big dog really he had this strategy and was clearly just take everything and forgot about Tavi and Dennis. And I see that they are angry for not for the for the big dog not
Pel-
helping. But yeah,
Peloton, however, is not cooperating too well.
five
Nobody's really wanting to go
five
for it.
5 minutes to the big dog. 5 minutes is really a lot, and it's not a strategy, says Dennis. Yeah, we understand the point. We understand that it's 5 minutes and 30 now. It's becoming huge, the difference. This could be enormous for Dennis and David. They could win the stage. They could win. That could be amazing,
I
amazing.
don't think none of the riders out front are going to win. However,
Hmm.
their presence in the final kilometers of this first climb is going to be huge.
I completely agree with you. And the big dog now drops. It
I think
drops from.
yeah, I think the only guys that are going to survive this climb are the 80 mountain and the 83 mountain. So with Kwiatkowski and George Bennett respectively, 75 mountain each.
Now
Like
if you are Davi in the group or if you are Dennis in the group, in the moment you are alone, would you attack?
no, no.
No, you would just maintain yourself in the wheel and try to
It's
maintain
it's
the pace of the group.
it's in both their best interests to work together here because with 43 wind, Davi is saving a lot more energy here than Dennis. So if they rotate between them, whoever takes that front, as we see Davi now going up alongside Dumoulin with Kwiatkowski,
Hmm.
if they share the workload, they're going to get first and second on the stage potentially.
I agree with you, and I think they will probably do that on their best effort. And when eventually Kwiatkowski and Bennett drop, do you think they should just stop and wait for the leaders, or do you think they should try to get some mountain points in the top of Mount Crosties?
No, Kwiatkowski and George Bennett would be caught by the peloton by the time the top of the climb. Trust me.
Okay, no,
I
yeah,
think
for sure I
I
do.
Yep. I think what will probably happen is Dennis and Davi will try to attack with their 83 mount, put Hush, Ghosting, Gabby, and also Sean under a lot of pressure here because if you're Ghosting now and Roglic attacks or Bernal attacks from Davi,
I have to say that the peloton has reduced significantly the
yeah,
advantage,
it did.
but is 3 minutes. 3 minutes right now, as we are 7 kilometers away from the top of Monte Crostis.
I
So,
think if you're the 83 mountain now, let's say Max Soler,
mhm. and
if you're pushing on the pace like this, the only rider that's potentially going to survive outside the 83 mountain guy is the 80 man. If you're looking at Davi now, he's got one guy. Kwiatkowski is going to probably do his work for Carapaz, then drop back and help out Davi. Davi's going to have a huge advantage on the other guys,
Mhm.
purely because he's got riders up the road who can drop back, and obviously um, they're going to have more energy. If you
Yes,
look at Valverde, he's being sat in the wheel.
Kwiatkowski just dropped.
Yep,
Oh,
Valverde's been sat in the wheel.
yes, as the
Um,
advantage dropped to only 2 minutes. 2 minutes is the advantage between the group of Carapaz Dumoulin, where Bennett is going to drop to. and the main group 1 minute and 40. The work by Movistar by Hush is really good. He's trying to recover the space, and there he goes. Now it's
Dennis
Soler
is
with
going to try it
Mas
now.
and
Dennis is going to try
Valverde.
to push to George Bennett.
And there goes Dennis. There goes Dennis with Roglic in the top of the group. He's going to try to break the peloton. Look what
I think I think for Dennis now he just needs to drop the 75 mountain
is
domestics from the other teammates.
exactly. That was the point
George
of
Bennett
what.
George Bennett is going to have a lot more energy. Sorry, not George Bennett. Dumoulin is going to have a lot more energy than the other
Yes,
80 mountain riders, I think.
George Bennett there with a small block on Vervaeke. And as Ghosty tries to approach, and Roglic actually goes without the peloton.
So if you see now, as we see, 80 mountain for Ghosties in the wheel of the 83 mountain for
And
Ghosties.
Dumoulin dropped Carapaz.
Yep. I think this is important now. This is an important moment at the stage because if the 80 mountain guys in the peloton for some reason drop, the only riders who will have the teammate is Davi and Dennis because they've saved a lot more energy because they've been
Yes,
able to go slower.
and
And if you see Bernal goes,
yeah, there goes Bernal also after the guys in the
this
front,
could be a game-winning move.
and
This could be a game-winning
Roglic
move.
just passes Carapaz,
I think this is a game-winning move.
and
I
there
think this,
goes
I think this
Dumoulin
is the
passes
move
first,
right now.
Roglic passes second, first and second for Dennis, third and fourth to Dave,
I
and
think that's
Soler
it.
with
I think
Vervaeke
that's it.
just on the back, and they have no domestics there. Domestics are a
I
bit
think
far
that's it.
behind.
Yep. I think the race is gone. I think that's
I
the first
think
and second
we
right
can
there.
call out this is a race for Davi and Dennis if they cooperate.
If
But
they cooperate,
will they cooperate? And
they're gonna
will
they're gonna use their 80 mountains on this flat section, and then in the whole descent they'll use their 83 mountains. They'll recover their 80 mountains. They'll recover them up full bar, and
it's
then as soon as they hit the foot of that climb, the Zoncolan, bang,
yes,
they'll be gone. The guys
it's
behind, the only teammates behind who are gonna have energy is probably Nakane for Gabi.
yeah, in 40 seconds, 50 seconds, it's really small advantage. And Nakane is dropping. Nakane is really in the points, and it's almost 1 minute as we approach the top. I think Davi and Dennis have this one.
And for
And
viewers watching here, will be a little bit confused as to why Miki Fiti is so certain that Davi and Dennis are going to win. Purely the fact that the guys behind, yes, they have a teammate, but they're in exactly the same scenario as Davi and Dennis front. The only difference between them is that Davi and Dennis have 1 minute advantage. That's a big advantage to have on a climb like the zone.
it's amazing what we are seeing. It's really interesting, and I'm trying to read a bit the chat too. The Miro Rivera is complaining about what is just a big jog. Okay, make it with two climbers. Yeah. Okay, so nothing very new here. Hello, Miro, to you too. And we see now the downhill is very straightforward. We only have one small part that is not really downhill, and then we have like 3 kilometers of flat, maybe 2 3 kilometers, and then we start the climb. Do you think in that 2 3 kilometers it's possible to cut this difference to less than 1 minute?
It all depends if the group behind work, in which now they're not working. I think this is a big mistake as Hush takes up. He realizes
They are not taking every opportunity they could to reduce this difference, and in the front they, yeah, Gabi is complaining, please walk, and there goes Ghost.
Ghost
There
is
goes
taking the
Ghosty.
initiative. Yeah, I think it's good
Ghosty,
for Ghost
Ghosty
too.
knows he needs to work. He has no chance of winning general classification if this stage goes for Dennis again or for Davi. And so Ghosty works. Who should also work?
Yep, I think the only way they're gonna win in the group round is if all of the 80 mountain guys cooperate.
Yes.
If that happens, they should win the group behind. If it doesn't happen, however, as we see Ghosty complain because he seems to be the only one working it,
Yes,
everything happens.
Ghosty knows. Hush is trying to work a bit, but Ghosty clearly was the one working. So anyway, Dennis says Davi. Davi is fully conscient that Dennis has more bars, more energy, and probably is going to win the stage. And I actually agree with Davi in this point. I think Dennis will win the stage. I After we saw what happened in the last climb, I really think we have one win here, and it's clearly Dennis once again, and they probably will. If Dennis wins this stage, I think we can say he has one hand and a half in the cup. So it will go very different. It needs to go very different for him in the last two stages to lose this one. As Hush just came into the front and taking Ghosty and the big dog with him. Gabi is drops a bit. He
Take his
tried.
own pace. Take his own pace.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
No, that,
I don't
that's
think he I don't think he intended to drop in the way he did, but I don't think he also wanted to pace. Oh, he's being blocked as well.
yeah. It's been blocked
That's
by
unfortunate.
Ghosty.
But yeah, I don't think he wanted to drop that much, but I also don't think he wanted to pace extremely hard. So he took his own pace, but I don't think he actually wanted to go that slow. I think it's
Yeah.
not the end of the world for Gary, but it's definitely not ideal because he's lost a
Dennis is
big,
now
big gap.
alone. Take a look.
Yep.
As
However,
Hush,
Soler is also alone, and pretty much everyone will be alone
yeah, yeah,
until
yeah. Sure, pretty much everyone will be alone soon,
Big
but
Dog with two riders,
Soler is
as
with
the
you
second rider
probably,
drops
and
in.
that's important.
And Gabby's been blocked again behind, and again behind. That is the issue
Poor
on
Gabi, man.
that is the issue on narrow roads. When you have a couple of guys who are dead from the AI, they likely gonna block you. So
Poor Gabi. As
yep.
everyone has only the leaders besides Gabi, that is trying to put together some difference there. And Hush knows he cannot attack Dennis. He needs to follow there. Gabi says he lags. It's shameful on the because it's very very sad that Gabi can't take. Gabi will probably finish sixth of this stage. I don't think he will be able to recover this distance. Is 1 minute as we approach the final 4 kilometers. And Dennis is the main favorite, and he leads the group. You have you need to bet your own life. Who do you put the your own life on in this final sprint?
Duffy.
David.
Yep.
Uh, I would say you are going to lose your own life, but yeah, sure.
Well, I would have said Dennis. 100% I would have said Dennis. However, he has been front group a long, long time. Hush, I'm sure he's got it within him, but
Let me just
I
say
think
47 wind right now.
yeah, yeah. That's why I hesitated on saying Dennis to win the stage because he did take up a lot of the responsibility on the early slips of the climb.
It sounds clear. Gabi is now in the front group. He took the big dog already. But Dennis is so strong right now. Look to Dennis, 1 kilometer and a half, and Davi comes too. And there goes Davi. Very good position by Davi. He's actually going to pass Dennis right now, I guess.
Yeah,
And
and as we said before, I think it is going to be between Roglic and Bernal.
yes, I'm absolutely sure will be between them. But Davi actually looks stronger right now, maybe
Yep,
to win the stage. You were wrong. Because
Dennis.
then, oh,
Nope,
you're
Gabi's
right.
going to take it.
Because
Yep,
Gavi's going to take it. Amazing. What a
Gabi,
win.
Gabi with
Gabi
an
won.
amazing
Oh,
comeback.
maybe Gabi took third. Gabi took third. Yeah, poor Gabi. But Gabi took third. That's very important for him. The big dog also took sixth once again. This one was not a good stage, a good day for the big dog. Besides the mountain classification, everything else really sucked for him as we approach the final meters of the race with the guys. And I think it's very interesting to say that this is going to be a round of two, probably to the end. Davi versus Dennis. the Italians will fight for the win of Trofeo dello Scalatore. I think Gabi is too far behind right now in the general classification, and I
Yep.
think the others have no chance. So Dennis versus Davi, Davi versus Dennis as we approach the final. Uh,
I mean, we said as soon as that breakaway got that leeway, likely Dennis and Davi would be the main protagonists going for the stage win. It was a very, very unfortunate. Gabby played a very good stage, to be fair to him, in the circumstances that he found himself in. Obviously, he crashed and lost a little bit of blue bar, he claims, which is very true, probably. He probably did. He dropped off, as we saw, right at the foot of the Zoncolan. Lost a minute, pretty much, from that. Still came back to take third. I think he's on course for a podium potentially. But yeah, I think it was fairly obvious who was going to win, especially after Gabby, probably the only challenger to Dennis and
no,
Davi.
I actually took it wrongly. I thought it was going to be Dennis, and I thought it during almost all of the stage. But yeah, actually, Davi did a better final sprint, and he won the race quite well. So yeah, as we approach the final round, I would like to ask some questions to our uh, to people listening to this. So first of all, the big dog, you have some opinion. Oh, he left the chat, so he cannot answer anymore. But I was going to ask him about the stage, but yeah, sure. I'm going to just read some comments on Twitch. Miro Rivera says I'm wrong. Yeah, I was wrong. It's true. Gabi said, yeah, it was a crash. Okay, it's sad. Joe Whiteley comments, I'm a noob. Okay, it's a really good comment by you. Specialist.
DPT, a
Yeah,
specialist
no,
in peace.
certainly not. Specialist here is Joe. I'm just the entertainer. And
DPT translator here.
yeah, I translate from Yorkish to English too.
Yes.
So yeah, if you have some doubts about what Joe just said, please ask me. I will try to explain to you as much as I can because I'm also not fluent in Yorkish. But yeah, sure. Um, Gabby with all the sportsmanship in the world trying to say. I think it's very interesting. Okay. So yeah, goodbye, everyone.
See
Thank
you
you
later, Mary.
a lot for listening. It was a pleasure for me to be here. We will try to, I don't know if it's me or Joe or anyone else, but we are trying to do the commentary also of the last two stages. It's a Dennis versus Davi. It's Italian versus Italian. It's world champion versus world champion. So yeah, if you enjoyed, please follow PCM Italia. Follow also us in the social media. You have the Twitter of PCM UCI here. So yeah, I hope you liked it. Goodbye, everyone, and till the next one.
See you later.